Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm honored to be here. Both my wife and I are honored to be here, not just because of what you've done for me personally, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but to let you know how grateful our community is for everything that you folks do. And by folks, I mean not just the ones in uniform, but the spouses and friends who are all here today. And let me tell you how critical that is for a community. If we don't have folks like you in this room, we don't have a community. We don't have a community. So when you go home tonight and you think, what did I do to help humanity? What did I do to advance the cause of kindness and humanity and keeping people safe? You go to bed knowing that you've done your duty. Even if you didn't get called out that day, you've done your duty because you were there ready to go. And I'm here to tell you that I never thought I'd experience it. I know I've talked to the chief about it and the deputy. I got to experience, probably you know this, but I want to say it again. There's kind of an idea in Carson, not an idea, but it's kind of a standard. We want to be able to respond to things in 4 to 5 minutes, and I'd like to think we're doing a pretty darn good job at doing that. But back when it was my birthday in the last part of November, I got terribly sick. I came back, my wife and I came back from San Antonio, and I don't remember much of that trip, but what I do remember is Sunday night, I'd been back a day, and all of a sudden I got up to go to the bathroom at night, and I fell over. And the last thing I remember after falling over was my wife looking at me saying, "We're calling 911." And the second thing I remember, and that's the only two things I remember, was two paramedics, two of our folks in blue, looking down at me, saying, "It's going to be all right." I don't know if you folks are in here who was there. I couldn't tell you who it was, but I'm here to tell you, and I've said this to the chief, it's one thing for us board members, elected officials, to be up talking about, all the finances and all the reasons why we want, good, competent firefighters, and, we need to have them do all these things. It's quite another thing when you've been on the receiving end of some very professional treatment. And that's what you folks in this room, each and every one of you do. So I want to say on behalf of a grateful community, keep doing what you're doing. And, I just can't say that enough, that, there are a lot of things that make a community, and they're all important in their own way. But when you're in trouble and you need somebody, you're there. And let me tell you, I can tell you firsthand experience how much that means, So on behalf of myself, my wife, and also the community of Carson City, thanks each and every one of you. And I'm not overlooking the spouses and friends and employees that work out there that may not wear the uniform. That's a big deal, folks. Keep it up. We have a wonderful community because of folks like you here in this room. Keep doing it, and we're going to go forward together. And the people in blue, God bless you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good afternoon. We ready to have a good time today? Oh, good. I know I am. Welcome to the Carson City Fire Department's annual Medal Day and Awards ceremony. I'd first like to recognize again Mayor Kroll and his wife Susan, Supervisor Lori Bagwell, our city manager, Nancy Paulson, and our deputy city manager, Stephanie Hicks. And thank you for attending and representing. It means a lot to myself, and it means a tremendous amount to our organization. I'd also like, before I begin, to just take a moment to recognize one of our firefighters that absolutely can't be here. And it was kind of recognized very shortly in the video, and that is paramedic Captain John Pedrini. Captain Pedrini is in the National Guard here in Nevada and is serving overseas. And he is representing our fire department, our state, and absolutely our country in the highest regards. And whether I can say fortunately or unfortunately, he is in a very hot, active area. And his crew is a paramedic crew, and they have been a pretty active unit during their time that they've been deployed. And he's got about another 5 or so months to go. We communicate fairly regularly. he sends his wishes. He's thinking of all of us, and he does occasionally get some internet access, so he's following our social media feeds and catching up on our emails. So he wanted to say hi to everybody, and I'd like to recognize Captain Pergini for his service today. I'd also like to thank Governor Sisolak for allowing us to use the building here and at no cost. And I can't think of a finer place. This is the second time we've had it here, and it is absolutely a beautiful setting for an event like this. The event was made possible, really, most of the food and beverages that we have purchased have been made by our community through donations to our department. So it's not out of our general fund, it's directly through donations to our community. So I'd like to recognize our community and say thank you to them for their donations, and it goes right back to us in a very thoughtful way. This event would not be possible without a few people, and certainly one key person that's sitting right here, and she really likes it when I call her out like this, about as much as my wife does. But I'd like to recognize, and if each of you would stand for a moment, recognize Shelby Price, Sandy Work. Sandy Worko, Battalion Chief Jason Danon, Rhonda Price, and we also have Sam Saunders, who is in charge of the after party, so the ever important after party. So thank you. This is one of those events that means a lot to me, and I hope it means as much to each one of you here that it does mean to me, because it's an opportunity for us to recognize what we do every day. And you hear it from me enough, and I know it's in my emails and in my comments, roughly about 34, 35 times a day, you get to make a difference in a citizen's life. It's not always a saved life. It's not always what you would consider an emergency, but it's something that they consider an emergency. And we have the ability to impact somebody's life every single day. And there are very few opportunities or careers where you have that opportunity to actually make a difference in somebody's life. And one of the pictures that struck me the most was one of our firefighters walking one of our senior community members across the street. And sometimes it's that helping hand. It's holding their hand when they need us. And I know occasionally they will wake us up at 2 or 3 in the morning because they are lonely. And sometimes it's hard to muster that smile, but what makes me so proud is I know that you do muster that smile, and you do know the difference, and you put them yourselves in their shoes, and there's no more greater selfless act than that. And so with that, I want to say thank you. Tonight we're going to recognize many significant individual and team accomplishments. But let me be clear, none of these accomplishments are possible without everybody in the audience. Our family members, our friends, our brother and sister firefighters, our other departments within our city, Public Works, Public Health, City Manager's Office. They give us the money every time I ask. Not. Right? Apparently. Exactly. Thank you, Mayor. Can you put that down in a little memo for me? I appreciate that. But this is about a team, and it's about a community. And we're going to recognize some significant events that took place in our organization this past year. And I know there are other events that take place that we don't get recognized, because one of the things that we don't do well is tell on each other when we do great things. And if I have a mission, I have a lot of missions in this fire department, but one of my missions is to get you, all of you, a little bit better at telling on each other for the great things that we do, so that we recognize it. You will probably rarely find, on duty at least, a more humble group of people than firefighters, and certainly that is representative here in Carson City Fire Department. Nobody comes to work looking for fame, for recognition, and for acclaim. They come to work to help each other out, recognizing the dangers of their job, but the importance that they hold in the community. And there's no greater calling, in my opinion, than that. As I reflect on many of the challenges and accomplishments we've had this past year, I can't help but recognize that 2019 was a year for numerous amazing achievements for your Carson City Fire Department. 2019 was an end of a decade, and we closed that decade in historic fashion. 2019 was the busiest year in the history of the Carson City Fire Department. 11,362 times you rushed out the doors as you were called to help our members, help the members and visitors of our great city. In that past decade, that is a 53% increase from that call volume from the beginning of the decade. In 1990, you went out the door 7,400 times. 11,362 times our citizens asked you for help, and you responded quickly, professionally, to each and every one of those requests. However, historic call volumes were not the only accomplishment that we experienced as an organization last year. Some of our most notable and prideful achievements include the placing of new Engine 51 and 52 into service, and we're now working on putting that beautiful ladder truck that sits right outside into service. Thank you to the mayor, the board of supervisors, and the city manager for your support on that. We'll keep an eye on him. We also expanded Rescue 54, our basic life support ambulance. It was working 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, and we expanded to 7 days a week. And now they work 10 to 12 hours each day. And with that, we added 2 additional EMTs to make that happen. We expanded, we hosted 2 regional fire academies. We hired 19 new full-time firefighters and part-time personnel. 9 of our employees received promotions, and we celebrated the retirement of 2 of our members. With the help of our public health department, that wasn't that easy to say. With the help of our public health department, we received a grant that brought in the app PulsePoint. PulsePoint alerts our firefighters, as well as any citizen that is trained in CPR, to cardiac arrest within our community. This will no doubt save hundreds of lives throughout our lifetime. One of the most important internal things that I think we did, and we will recognize one of our members with that tonight, is we stood up the Carson City Fire Department's peer support team. That team focuses on helping our members who are dealing with the stresses of the job and everyday family life. This team is a part of a bigger network of peer support team members throughout Northern Nevada. And finally, our members don't stop helping when they are no longer on duty. Last year, a large contingent of our Carson City firefighters raised money and climbed the tallest building in Seattle to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Next week, I believe it is another 15 of our members are heading right back up there, and they will climb that tower again, and they have raised, where are we at now? $26,000 this year. In addition to that, we're also a co-partner in the Holiday with a Hero program that is run specifically by Detective Dan Gonzalez. Our battalion chief, Jason Danon, is his Robin to the Batman of that program. And last year, we raised over $30,000 to take Carson City school children, low income, identified by the school district, shopping for a day to buy clothes and presents over Christmas time. These are just few of the many accomplishments that we achieved in 2019. As we have stepped into 2020, and as I look forward to the rest of the year, we will have another very busy year. Some of the key items that we're working towards include placing that ladder truck into service, completion of the master plan, and developing plans to implement its recommendations. We just completed promotional testing for our company officer for the captain's position. In addition to that, this year, we will hold promotional exams for driver, operator, and battalion chief. We will be applying for an assistance to firefighter grant through FEMA to improve our physical fitness equipment at all of our stations. I'll take a moment to a little bit explain that. Cardiac events are one of the leading causes of death in firefighters. And it is directly attributed to really two things: the stresses of our job and to the carcinogens that we are exposed to on a regular basis. So physical fitness and working out is a huge, huge factor for our firefighters. So if we receive this grant, it will replace the majority of our equipment within the stations, which is in, let's say, a disrepair. It's in need of replacing. In addition to that, we will be bringing to our Board of Supervisors the request to submit for a SAFER grant. SAFER grant is staffing for fire and emergency response, for adequate fire emergency response. We will be requesting to add 9 additional firefighters for a 3-year term to our organization. We will accomplish these goals through the dedication, passion, and professionalism by each and every one of you. In addition to these goals, we will no doubt respond to help our citizens at their moments in need. And we will do it by providing the highest level of service and professionalism possible. While that high level of service is a simple expectation of mine, we all know that that just doesn't happen overnight. It happens because we constantly train. It happens because of our teamwork and our commitment to excellence. It happens because of the strong character and discipline, sacrifice, and compassion of each and every one of our firefighters and our support staff in this organization. This is what I call a servant's heart. I'm a firm believer in past performances are predictors of future behaviors. And being a part of this great city and this amazing organization, I know our future is bright and the future of the citizens of our Carson City is also bright. Thank you, and let's get this party started. Okay, so this past year I mentioned we had 2 of our members retire, and I don't believe either one of them here tonight. But I would like to make a recognition of retired Captain Jeff Davies and firefighter paramedic Dan Geldman. Their service to our community, the brotherhood that they shared with us, and the sacrifices that they shared do not go unnoticed, and we'd like to thank both of them for their commitment to the organization and the commitment to the citizens of Carson City. So next on our agenda, we've got something that I feel is important to me, and that is the success of any organization that has a labor group. You can't succeed without a good relationship with your labor team. And with that, one of the things that I strongly believe in is recognizing the leadership of our union. That is how I learned and grew up in my past organization. I got on our executive board fairly quickly, and I wasn't sure why. I got encouraged to do it, but one of the things that I remember, well, many of the things that I remember that I learned through the union, it wasn't about being a union goon. It was about leadership. It was about learning about the organization. It was about learning about our community and learning about the teamwork that exists not only internally, but externally within our other departments and within our city itself. And I'm a firm believer that our current union leaders will be the future leaders of this organization because they have shown a willingness to step up. It's not a paid position. They get a little time off, but trust me, it is not worth the headaches that they ensue. They have to deal with me on a regular basis, and that's not always that fun. But I would like to ask that the principal officers and the executive board of Carson City Firefighters Association 2251 come up to the front. So these are your labor leaders. These are the leaders of your organization. Each one of them have been elected into their position, whether they volunteered or whether they had a foot in their back to step up and lead the organization. They struggle with uniformity, but other than that, they're pretty darn good people. They have asked me to actually swear them in. So this is a first that I'm not so used to a fire chief swearing in the labor group. So I've changed a few things to make sure that they follow my lead. No, actually. Exactly. Thank you to Dan Furman for the glasses. I've got contacts on and I don't read well, and Brian gave me their oath, which is about a 4-point font. So I'm going to ask each one of you to raise your right hand. I'm going to say the oath, and at the completion of the oath, I'd ask that you say, "I will." So I pledge to honor and perform the duties of my office in compliance with the Constitution and bylaws of the International Association of Firefighters and Local 2251. All properties and records of this union will be turned over to my successor of the office at the close of my official term. I will dutifully abide by and promote the positions taken by the majority. I will dedicate my talents and energies to represent the mandates and directives of this union. I will use my good office to promote the unity and harmony, all of which I solemnly promise to swear and to keep to the best of my ability. I will. I will. See, they almost followed directions. Congratulations. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. So in addition to our retirees, I mentioned earlier that we hired 19 individuals, either part-time or full-time into our organization. So if you are in attendance, I'd ask that the following people please stand and stay standing so we can recognize you. Barrett Andrews, Mark Bristol, Andrea Brown, Thomas Evans, Blake Fogel, Blake Harper, Daniel Harris, Eric Hopper, Bob King, Stacy King, Robert Knight, Courtney Kalash, Austin Leck, Chris Martin, Jack Reynoso, Eric Robinson, James Searcy, Ty Tremaine, and Aaron Wildermuth. We got a few of you here today. Thank you, and welcome to the family. We also had several promotions this last year, and so if I could actually have each of the individuals that were promoted to please come up. Captain Diego Aramburu, Nick Artem, Jeff Freelander, Brian Hunt, Curtis Baker, Robert Knight, Courtney Kalash, Jeff Linscott, and Ty Tremaine. We got a couple of you.
A few on calls.
Yeah. We had several of them here earlier, but they are part of that 11,362 incidents. They're taking care of the community right now. Let's give another round of applause for our promotees. So now we're on to our recognition of significant events and significant achievements within our organization. Is Chris Boyer still here, or is he? All right, there he is. Chris, if you want to come up for a second, please. Hey, Max could come up, yeah. Hi, Max. So the other day, we actually recognized firefighter paramedic Boyer at another event, and Max was the hit of the show. He was the man. We don't have cookies, do we? You were all over the cookies last time, huh? We do have brownies. So I'm going to start with reading the award. Dad, there's yeah, exactly. Those aren't for you right now. So tonight we're going to recognize firefighter Chris Boyer for the Meritorious Conduct Award. And I'll read the criteria for which it is and something that you have to be nominated by your peers. So to receive the Meritorious Conduct Medal and Commendation, the firefighter must be a member of the department who performs a notable act and distinction in the performance of his duty and reflects the integrity and devotion shown by the recipient. What Chris is being recognized for is he is a leader in our peer support program. So I talked briefly a little bit about what that peer support program was, and I had something in here a minute ago. So post-traumatic stress, it's a growing challenge within the fire service. Over the past several years, the number of firefighter suicides have exceeded the number of firefighter line of duty deaths. All right, you're going to cave to him. Mental health, substance abuse, divorce, and behavioral problems continue to increase in the fire service. One of our challenges, this is a tough thing to talk about right now with this.
So sorry.
He's keeping it light for us, which is important.
So sorry.
So never need to apologize. So one of the challenges is the stigma that we face, recognizing and admitting that we have issues. You cannot go through this career without having a few internal scars. It's the physical scars where we recognize those are the ones where they draw blood, we take you to the hospital, we get some stitches, or we have a cast, or we have a few injuries. Those are the ones that are easy to recognize. It is the internal scars that we do not recognize very well. And a culture within the fire service that we are strongly trying to break is keeping that internalized. And one of the ways that we are trying to break that is the peer support team that we have. We have members that are representative of all ranks in our organization, and we are a part of a bigger program in Northern Nevada. We have joined with Truckee Meadows, who is the lead, Reno Fire, and several other departments within our community that have peer support team members. And what those peer support team members are, they are the first line of defense that a brother or sister firefighter who is struggling can contact one of them in absolute confidence to talk about their issues. And the importance of having a Northern Nevada team is that they can reach out to any member. All of our phone numbers are published and accessible. So if they don't want to talk to somebody in our own organization because of that stigma, they can reach out to any other member that is a trained member of this. And what they'll do, first and foremost, is they listen to them. But secondly, they help them with suggestions of how to get other help if that's what is needed, or how some ways that they can deal and overcome some of the challenges that they're facing. And most importantly, remind them that they are not alone. They are not alone in their internal scars, nor are they alone with the support that we are willing to provide them and to help them with. And so Chris has only been a member of our organization for just over 2 years. However, he has already a long distinguished career in the fire service. He was a member of the U.S. Forest Service and did lots of crazy things with them on hotshot crews, and I believe he's jumped out of a plane or two and done some fairly crazy stuff. But he was also a member of their peer support network before he came here. And he has been the driving force. And one of the things that I think recognizes any great organization is we tap into the talent that we have, and we don't shun you because you haven't been around the organization or you don't hold a specific rank. And Chris has stepped up not only as a leader in Carson City, but in the Northern Nevada peer team. And it is because of his commitment, his passion, and his dedication to helping each one of us that I know that he has already touched and helped several members, and that our team will help all of our organization grow and help other organizations that are a part of this to address the stigma of PTSD and all of the other issues that go with it, the stresses of our job, and not just the job, but our normal family lives. We're human. And going through life becomes a challenge. And sometimes too many challenges line up on us and they seem overwhelming. And because of Chris's leadership and Chris's support, our organization is taking giant leaps to step forward with that. And I'd like to recognize and congratulate Firefighter Chris Boyer on the Meritus commendation. Max, come up here. Get a picture with Dad. Show us the fire. Show us the ambulance.
Stand up. You want to hold up the ambulance? Hold it up. Hold it up. Perfect. Excellent. There we go.
Yeah. The next award is something that I strongly recommended that these members be recognized, and it's the Golden Axe Award. So I'll read what the Golden Axe is, and then I'll ask these members to come up for us for a second. So the Golden Axe, to receive the Golden Axe Award, any of the following criteria must be met. I'm not going to read all of them. I'm going to go straight to the one that they're receiving the award for. So to achieve a highly credible accomplishment, bringing public acclaim to the department or to the fire service as a result of devotion to duty and to service of the public. So with that, I'd like to bring the members of our Apparatus Committee up. If I can have Captain Aramburu, Ryan Bailey, Travis Boggs, Chad Harns, Chief Micah Horton, Jeff Linscott, Captain Chris Mason, and Pete Ryan come up. Those of you that are still here, got a few of them. So as they're coming up, let me tell you a little bit about what they have done. We have had the unique and great opportunity to begin replacing our frontline engines. We have now replaced 2 of our 3 frontline engines, and we have a third that is being recommended for replacement on this next year in the capital budget. So when you purchase a fire engine, it is not like going down the street to Chevy and buying a Silverado and just deciding what package you want. Purchasing a fire engine or a fire truck for that matter, is a tremendous undertaking. First of all, you're spending for a fire engine about $680,000 of our citizens' money. For the ladder truck that sits out there, it's about $1.2 million. Those fire engines and ladder trucks are going to be expected to last 15 to 20 years at a minimum. And the reason they do is because they are built to last, and we take great pride with them. But when you spec a fire engine, there are certain bodies. Yes, you can get the Silverado package, but you start with the Silverado and you go from there, and you decide how the doors are going to look, what the compartment spacing is so that it'll fit your department's need, it'll fit all of our equipment. You select the water tank that goes in there. We have 750 gallons of water on each of our fire engines. Well, putting 750 gallons into a fire engine is not an easy task. There are many, the tanks that hold them come in many shapes and sizes, and for that reason, the reason for that is it allows you to spec the rest of your fire engine so that it fits your needs. Our hose beds, we want them low so that our firefighters can reach the hoses. Makes sense, right? To reach those hoses and get them off safely. That we can take our heaviest equipment and keep the heaviest equipment down low. So those compartments have got to be that appropriate size for that. We've got to have space for a tremendous amount of medical equipment and a tremendous amount of gear. Then becomes the bells and whistles, the lighting packages and the striping and everything else that goes with it. The engines that sit out there, 51 and 52, to design those, it probably took a couple hundred hours of teamwork with this group to actually design that fire engine, and now its sister engine, Engine 51, and what will hopefully be its second sister, Engine 53, this next year. Then we gave them the task to build a ladder truck. Now, most everybody in this room knows we haven't had a ladder truck in this city in about 10 years. So nobody here designed the last ladder truck. It was on its last leg when it fatefully died, I believe, rolled over and died literally. And so they had to, some of you got that joke, but they had to design the ladder truck. And that means reaching out to other fire departments that have ladder trucks. And I gave them, the first task was, don't jump to a specific truck right away. I'm not going to buy off on that. You're going to present to me your recommendation, and you're going to have to justify why we choose what we do. And you're going to have to go through all of that. I'm not just going to give you a rubber stamp for, yep, you built a truck that meets our budget specs. You're going to have to show me the why. They did a tremendous amount of work, and if you've ever looked at ladder trucks, there are ladder trucks with baskets or buckets up front. There are ladder trucks that have the ladders in the middle, the turning base in the middle. Some are what we call rear mount in the back end. Some of them have water on them. Some of them don't carry water on them. They're 75-foot ladder. There's just a myriad of decisions and choices to go through that. And so this Apparatus Committee did that, and they presented to me, and I kind of figured where they were going with this, that they're going to present a tiller truck to me. And the organization I came from had tiller trucks, but I told them they need to show me why we get one, why we need one in this city. And so this presentation showed several apartment complexes, narrow streets, alleys, all of these things that we have in Carson City that a normal turning radius of all of the other standardized trucks wouldn't fit. They did their homework. Then on top of that, actually speccing it out. And as you see, and I encourage everyone to take a look at it as you walk out at the end of the ceremony and open the doors up. There's not much in them right now, but you have to have a set mind where do the jaws of life go? Where do our pulling tools go? Where do our chainsaws go on this? Where do our specialized saw? What about airbags? All of those have to have a space. You can't just say, we're going to throw all these compartments on there and we'll figure it out as we go. It's not like packing for a vacation and you throw everything in the trunk. You've got to have some design into this. So there's a tremendous amount of work. So it brings me great pride to recognize these individuals. None of them, we really didn't have an apparatus committee in place prior to them stepping up and taking that role. And it's reflective of every rank in this organization because the firefighters are going to spec and pay attention to where their job is and what they need for their job. The driver is going to pay attention to the driving of the apparatus and the pumping and our aerial supply of that. The company officer is looking at the bigger picture of what that fire engine or ladder truck is going to do and how it fits their needs. And so we built a truck from the ground up as well as the engines from the ground up. And there is no doubt, while I have a tremendous amount of pride, I will tell you that is the best ladder truck I have ever seen. And we have some of the best fire engines you will ever see. And it is because of this group and the input of every member of this organization. There were blueprint drawings of the ladder truck and the engines up in the day rooms of the stations, and with the request from each of the committee members to write what you like, write what you don't like. And each of these went through several redraws or versions before we finally got to the version that we were happy with, and we are extremely happy with it. So it brings me great pride to recognize each one of these individuals with the Golden Axe Award. So there is somebody I missed in recognition at the beginning of this event, and that is our photographer and videographer, Rachel Schneider. So Rachel works for the city IT department, and she is here on her own time. And it is out of her passion and dedication, and she has been, she is the city PIO, but as she says, she doesn't like to be the face, she likes to be the video of the organization. And she has done a tremendous amount of work helping us build our following on our social media platforms, and does all of the public information releases and press releases for the city. And so Rachel, thank you for your time today. Next, I'd like to ask EMS Chief Sandy Warko to come up here. We've got several EMS awards to recognize our members on. Oh, we have a presentation?
Well, we have music.
I like it. Let me get out of your way.
All right, good afternoon. So I asked if I could actually do some EMS awards this year. There is some seriousness to the awards in that, as Chief said, we had over 11,000 calls in 2019. Over 10,000 of those calls are EMS calls. So it is 90% of what we do. And I am just incredibly proud of the group that I have the honor to work with, train, educate, review charts with. Often I am walking over to the dorm with a stack of papers, and everybody's like, oh, who's in trouble now, you know. And not all of them are bad. Some of them are good. All right, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with these awards. So our first award is going to be the Candyman. This is for the top pain manager.
Thank you. You know the candy man can, 'cause he mixes it with love. Tastes good.
Okay, so the Candyman, this is our top pain manager. So it's that person who actually gave out the most pain meds over 2019. And so in third place of that, it was a tie with Nick Garcia and Jesse Kohler. In second place, it was Houston Bernston. And our winner was Heath Burton, as far as giving out the most amount. So Heath, although is not here, but if somebody would like to accept his Candyman Award, I'd love for somebody to accept it on his behalf. Oh, Nancy says. Okay, so our next award, you're going to kind of start to see the theme here, right? We kind of got this Daddy, Candyman theme going on. So our next award is the Sugar Daddy Award. Huh? Okay. All right. So the Sugar Daddy Award is for the top glucose provider. So the person that has pushed the most glucose to our patients in Carson City. So in third place, it was Waz, top sugar guy. In second place, it was Wilkie. And Our number one sugar daddy, who couldn't be here because he felt like he needed to be in Winnemucca, was Nick Garcia. So, we have for Nick Garcia as our sugar daddy, his Sugar Daddy Award. And anybody want to accept his award? No? Kept them. I know. They should just go to her. Okay, so our last couple awards are actually for our top EMS responder. So this is somebody who has responded to the most amount of calls as the primary medic. But before I get there, because our medics do take the majority of the calls, we have been really working through our protocols and through education, trying to make sure that our EMTs and our advanced EMTs actually practice to the highest level of their license. And they have really stepped up and started taking calls that are appropriate for them to step up. So I just want to acknowledge our top EMT responder was Nolan Shine. So he truly did step up and was the primary care provider where it was appropriate as our top EMT. Our top advanced EMT who took that initiative to be the primary caregiver at their level was Chris Boyer. John Boyer. Okay, so when it comes now to our actual top EMS responder, the person that has responded as the primary care paramedic over those 10,000 calls, so in third place, it was actually Jesse Kohler with 458 calls. He was the primary care medic. In second place, it was Garrett Heckheis at 499. And in first place, it was Jonathan Wilkie. Good job. All right, so as you saw, Max kind of, it's really hard to find yellow ambulances online, so we did the best we could. But this is the Big Daddy ambulance. And Big Daddy, you are Big Daddy. Congratulations.
What was the call number?
500.
500?
Oh, I'll get it. I forgot. Nobody's else. Okay, so the last award I have is actually the top EMS transporter. So when I look at, people, we run a lot of calls and not all of those are calls that we transport somebody. Sometimes we treat them at the house. But we do have people who have higher percentage of actually transporting the patients that they run on. And so this is the top EMS transporter. And in third place, that was Houston, for instance. So he transported at 83% of his calls, which is huge because that is above the national average of not transport versus a non-transport. So great job. In second place, it was Heath Burton. He did 86% of his calls. He transported the patient. And then in first place, at that 499 calls and transporting 87% of the time was Garrett Heckheis. And I think Max accepted his award on his behalf.
Yeah, Max.
Good job, Max. Again, before we just end, I want to acknowledge a couple other things as our BLS crew. We have an amazing BLS crew and ambulance, and we were able to increase those hours and increase our staffing in the BLS area. And I truly believe that if we took away the BLS, we would have mutiny from the rest of the fire department, because they do serve such an incredible purpose in our department, and they do an awesome job of taking care of patients in our community. And then lastly, often people forget, or they're not aware that the MedTrans unit is a Carson City department, and they do a large amount of transports. That is a contract that we have with the hospital of assisting the hospital to get patients moved out of the hospital or to treatments where they can be in a wheelchair van. But that with that partnership with the hospital of getting those people out, then the hospital can actually get sicker people admitted into the hospital because we're helping them get people home. So the MedTrans division is, they just do an amazing job, and they are running all the time. We run 3 vans Monday through Friday and 2 vans on the weekend. So they're an invaluable service to our department as well. So once again, what an honor it is. I just, I don't get very emotional often, but I have to tell you guys, it is an honor to work with you and to have such a responsive, educated, experienced, knowledgeable EMS crew that just takes care of people unbelievably. And like Chief said, we don't tell on each other often enough, and we went to a peer support training and was riding with these guys, and Jody, you might have to correct me, but they went on a call of somebody who burnt their bread or burnt their toast. She was trying to make her dinner, and after they cleared everything and it was safe, they sat there and they made her grilled cheese and her soup and then sat and had dinner with her. So that is what these people do on a daily basis, and they don't tell on themselves enough. So awesome job, and again, thank you so much for allowing me to be your EMS manager.
So there is one item that I didn't get on the program in time, and but I do think it's important to recognize. Every month, the city recognizes employee anniversaries at a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 year. Usually if we have a firefighter or a member of the organization on duty, we can capture them and they get there. But oftentimes, more often than not, it is an off-duty thing, and there are childcare issues and there are family and life issues, so they're not able to make the Board of Supervisors meeting where they get recognized for their length of service terms. And so I wanted that we have a lot of you captured here today to recognize you for your years of service within the organization. And with each one of these, and we're gonna start it at the 20-year mark. 20 years in this fire department. As busy as this fire department is, that is making a difference a whole heck of a lot. 20 years of serving the public, holding hands, sometimes making grilled cheese sandwiches, sometimes it's changing a diaper, and sometimes it's just holding a hand, and other time it is scenes where nobody should ever have to see. But you are there, and you are there to make that difference. So I'm going to ask the 20-year employees, I know I have at least one of them here today, but if I could get Captain Matt Merritt, driver operators Lance Karras and Travis Howe, Fire Captain James Colatorti, and Firefighter Jason Gardner to please come up. What's that?
You want some help?
Yeah, love some help. Next up is our members who had 15-year anniversaries. So if I could ask the following members come up. Driver operator Travis Boggs. Driver operator Rafi Atashian. Driver operator Robbie Cook. Driver operator Jeff Freelander. Firefighter Dan Furman. Driver operator Chad Harns. Driver operator Jeff Linscott. We got a lot of driver operators. Driver operator Sam Saunders and firefighter Scott O'Brien come up here. I'll tell you what, in the next 10 years, we're gonna have a lot of driver operator openings. That's a lot of driver operators.
Where are we going?
Good, I don't want you to go anywhere.
I can't afford it. That's what we here.
This is for Travis Boggs.
Travis, where's Travis?
Travis, come on up.
Travis, on behalf of the great community, thank you for your 15 years of service to our great community. We're just terribly proud of what you do. Keep doing it. We want another 15 years. Sure. Or maybe. All right. I'm in. All right, you're in. Hear that, he's in. Thanks.
We have Robbie Cook.
Robbie. Hi, Robbie. Sir. On behalf of our grateful committee, please accept this certificate of appreciation for 15 years of continuous service to your community. Without you, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I just want you to know that we deeply appreciate everything that you do, and we want more time. I appreciate it. Okay, all right. Thanks.
So Jeff Freelander.
Jeff. Jeff, on behalf of a grateful committee, please accept this award for demonstrating our appreciation. It's a longevity award to Jeff Friedlander. It's a driver operator. By the way, with the ladder truck, we have more driver operators, right?
Not yet. No, just one for the front.
Okay. Who drives in the back then?
Right now, just the firefighter, but the union's over there, so keep that part down.
You hear all that? Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but on behalf of all of us here in this community, please accept our appreciation and gratitude for 15 years of service, and we look forward to 15 more years. Thank you very much. Be safe. All right.
Dan Furman.
Dan. Dan. Hi, Dan. On behalf of a grateful committee, please accept this certificate of appreciation. It's a longevity award for 15 years of continuous service to your community. Thank you for everything you do. Thanks for keeping us safe. Thanks for taking care of us when times go bad. And thanks for, just a lot of things that you guys get to see that a lot of others don't get to see. So know that you're appreciated. Thank you. Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Chad Harns.
Chad. He's right here. Chad. On behalf of a grateful committee, please accept this certificate for 15 years of dedicated service to Carson City. And thanks for keeping us safe. Thanks for all that you do. I think we understand, at least I do now, what you folks have to go through. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So just remember that. So on behalf of a grateful community, for 15 years, give us 15 more. More than 20. All right.
Sam Saunders.
Sam, how you doing?
Good. Doing great.
All right. Gonna give us 15 more years?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. So this is for Sam. This is for 15 years. Your first 15 years of continuous service to making Carson City a better place to live, work, play, and be safe. And so, on behalf of all of us in this community, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything that you're going to be doing for us in the future. And please know that you're deeply appreciated. Deeply appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
15-year picture.
Oh, is this it? Okay. Let me.
Perfect. Got it.
Apparently, we didn't do a whole lot of hiring 5 years ago, so I have just one member hiding back over there. Firefighter paramedic Craig Cook, come on down. Mary, you want to do one more? I do.
Okay, Craig, on behalf of the grateful community, please accept this presentation, this certificate. Appreciation for everything that you've done for us. You know, I've been here for 5 years. You look awful young, too, man. Boy, I tell you, I'm getting, But on behalf of the grateful community, thanks for the 5 years of dedicated service to Carson City. We look forward to 15, so it should make 20, and then another 10, so it should make 30, and then another 10, so it should retire. Deal? All right. Just know, I want you to know that, we deeply appreciate everything you do, and congratulations on joining the best fire department in the United States right here. Thank you.
So that brings us to the end of the ceremony. A few thoughts as we part our way. So first, before I forget, there is a after party that everyone is invited to, and that is Reds, hosted by Sam Saunders. He's got the first 2 rounds and dinner on everybody, right? It's on the. Where's Nyberg? Where's Nyberg? We need the union's money. But in all seriousness, this event is important to me, and I hope it, again, is important to each one of you. And by the attendance that we continue to get, I really think it is. It's an opportunity to share our accomplishments, to talk about our future, and to recognize the great things that we do for each other and for our community every single day. And it's also an opportunity for family members, spouses, to see their husbands and wives with their friends and doing what they do, and with a lot of them off duty, which is a rare moment. We absolutely do great things as a community on a daily basis. And none of that happens without your work and your sacrifice. None of that happens without your dedication. Yes, you are absolutely paid and paid well. Yes, you have very nice benefits. But that only goes so far. You can pay somebody well and not get a great employee. You can pay somebody well and give them some great benefits and not be a trustworthy person. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's no greater role that you have than to go to a stranger's house and hold somebody's hand, to hold the baby, or to put a mask on and to risk your life to go inside to either save somebody's life or to save somebody's property and their belongings and their livelihood. There is absolutely no greater sacrifice that anybody can do. And I will put that against any occupation anywhere. And, my job is somewhat far removed from your job anymore. I used to, and I'm sure I've told this before, but when I was a battalion chief, I was a fairly new battalion chief, and I was a little bit cocky. I know most of you don't know that about me, but so we had a staff meeting, and the fire chief was giving us a little bit of a hard time about something, and the fire chief was a very, very good mentor of mine, and one of the close relationships that our staff had. So he was kind of giving us a hard time and talking about how important he is, and it was just all in jest. And I opened my mouth and kind of, it was my career dissipation light moment, but I looked at him and I said, "Chief, at least I drive my desk. You have to sit behind yours all the time." And he kind of looked at me and said, "Just wait." And so karma has hit me. And he and I still talk fairly frequently. I call him with some head scratchers every once in a while, and he is now a fire chief in the second great state of Utah. And so he is... It's something that my job's a little bit different. I get to meet a lot of people outside of the organization in much different circumstances than you do. And I will tell you, the one thing I hear day in and day out is how much appreciated you are. I try and share as often as I can the notes and the letters that we get and the ones that are legible, and we still get phone calls and I get voicemails talking about the difference that you make. Every once in a while I'll get somebody that talks about our ambulances are a rough ride and the suspension needs to get fixed, and I'm kind of looking at that, I'm like, we're not Uber and we are not a limousine. It's set up for life saving. But I smile and say thank you for your advice. I'll let the guys know. And but the bottom line, the achievements that I have seen this organization make in the last 3 years, and the way that you have accepted me, my family, the way you accept all of the new members of this organization, and recognize that we are stronger together than we can ever be as individuals. And it makes me proud to know that at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it may be, you are showing up to go help somebody or to put your life on the line with a smile on your face. And so with that, to everybody here, I want to say thank you. It is an honor to be a part of this organization, and it is an honor to be a part of your family. So thank you, and I think Rachel is going to have some directions for us now.
Uniforms out front, we're gonna take a group photo.
There we go. So everybody in uniform out by the ladder truck, and we're going to take some photos out there. What do we? Oh, don't be shy. We have plenty of food left here. We don't want to transport much. Yeah, Robbie.